Good evening all from G8GKQ. Welcome to the BATC Thursday evening net. Lovely evening here, and I gather it is out on the moors as well. Rob, I take it you're ready to transmit. I missed some of the earlier transmissions, but from the chat I take it you're ready to transmit. So we'll put you on first. Thanks Rob, followed by John G7JTT, Keith GU6EFB, I saw Charles on earlier, I wonder if he can come on, G4GUO, Bernie G4HJW, Gareth G4XAT, and the Welsh contingent GW7BZY, and Roger G3IUZ. Those are the ones I have so far. So looks like a good net tonight. Things to announce. Don't forget next weekend, not this coming weekend, but next weekend, 14th, 15th of May, is an activity weekend. 146 and down and 23 SEMs. A good opportunity to get your kit ready for the contest on 10th in early June. Following weekend, BATC will be at Dunstable Downs Rally. Look forward to seeing as many of you from the south there as possible. And don't forget to put any 70 SEMs or 6 SEM activity in the activity ladder. So with that, let's put it straight round to Rob. M0DTS and the group G8GKQ.
Right, we'll get there eventually. 0DTS portable. 0DTS portable. Right, I'm not sure which audio this is coming off at the moment, whether it's coming off the, it's coming off internal. Right, that's fine. Yeah, so, yeah, I'm actually out portable this evening, so good evening to everyone. I thought I'd do this. Is this the first portable QO-100 entry? Or probably not, but I am out in the middle of nowhere running the system. So I thought I spent the whole of today playing around with dishes and things just to get that sort of neat setup running for the net. So here we are. That view at the moment, by the way, is looking out onto the North Sea, so you can actually see a few boats and things in the distance, which is pretty cool. Now, I didn't realise I could see out to sea from this location. So, there we go. I've noticed the audio is a little bit low there. So I'll bring that up a bit. Let's just check the comment. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Right, I'll just bring the other camera back on if I can figure out how to do that one. There we go. So there we are in the van. So yeah, evening everybody. Yeah, this is the new setup. I've made it a lot lighter in here this time. It's not the dingy old red van anymore. It's quite light. I've got lights on, but it's not bad. The background kind of improve things a little bit, but yeah, hopefully that's what we're doing tonight. So at the moment we are near to Kildale is the location, which is not far from Stokesley, or kind of south east of Middlesbrough is the location. It's just climbing up onto the hills on the North Yorkshire Moors on a little tiny side road, so there's literally no traffic at all. It's a nice quiet road, so it's perfect for parking up. So there we are. I'll give you a little view of the dish on the van using the other camera. Just noticed it. Is it going to work? Right. Doesn't seem to be any audio on it. audio there that's coming through. Let me just check. Really haven't. Okay, you can hear the other one as well. Right, I'll take this one down. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, I can go to the other camera. Right, I'll go to this is on the external camera. So we'll pan out a bit from here. Go around. We have a nice view of Roseby Top, well, just the top of Roseby Topping. I don't know whether you can actually see, are there any people stood there this evening? Possibly. Can't quite tell. I'm going to zoom on this camera to just get in. But that's the top end of Roseby Topping, and then a little bit further round from this side, we can see Captain Cook's monument there, which I'll have to do a little portable session from at some point. That'll be quite cool. Now, the camera stopped working. Ooh, hang on. Why is that not working? Apologies. Right, apologies there. Yeah, I didn't get the audio there, the video. So yeah, apologies for that. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a long over. Anyway, I'll try and keep it short now. Top of Roseby Top in there, and I'll do a little pan around and show you the dish. This is on the top of the van, the 1 metre dish, prime focus, and that's on the mount, the motorised mount on the top there, which is ex-BBC van mount. So that's the setup. You can see the inside of the van in there. I go a little bit further over. I'll give you a shot of the setup in here. So there's a laptop in there, the white 19-inch tray. Second down is the 13 Thames amp. Above that is the motor for the roof control. The right hand side is my work in progress port down, which is nowhere near finished, but I'm using it. And a laptop to do all the encoding. If I go a little bit further around here, I might just. Yeah, it seems we have a few problems there. Anyway, I'll pass it back round. So, camera dropped out. Yeah, apologies for that. It worked so well. I pulled the cable. That's why. Yeah. So round to you, John. G7JTT and 0DTS portable.
Is that a bit? Have I got audio? Yes. Right. Let's mute that then. Right. Very good evening all. Yeah. I wish I had half the energy that Rob has. It's taken me 2 weeks just to do something I'm going to show you in a minute. It's still not finished. What have I been doing? I've been resting. Definitely been resting. still having a little bit of issue with pain and whatnot. But anyway, that being all that. Right, I've taken some inspiration from Gareth and his Tilt-O-Matic. I'm pretty sure that's what it stands for, but I think the acronym is TOM. So anyway, I've kind of copied it, but I've got a different tripod to what everybody else has, of course. I would have said different, wouldn't I? But mine's a professional camera tripod where the elevation, the pole in the middle where it goes up and down, whatever, that got broken. So I paid, I think, about 10 quid for it at a boot sale, and they're a few £100 new, I think. Anyway, so it's a single 3/8 hole bolt sticks up through the middle, unlike the surveyor ones. So I've managed to do the same as everybody else has done with the bearings, and I should go across to wobbly, shaky cams, so bear with me. Right, so this is what I end up doing now. See there, but yeah. So that's the top locking nut. So what we've is underneath there is a thrust bearing, and then the I have to get a torch getting prepared for this. Right, so there's the top of the head there, and what I've got, there's the bearing. Can you see that? Just about, I think. Right, so so there's the bearing in there. This was a cash piece of alley I had kicking around for it used to have my 10 gig stuff up the mast, which is why it's got the key slots in it, because it used to just slot in there, etc. But anyway, so what I've done different to everyone else, this disc here, which I think you can just about see, can you? There you go. This disc, that's the actual brake. So what I've got is that lever there, just compresses. Let me see that probably not. You can just see there's a slot in a block, and that then compresses on the top, and that's now solid. So that's the braking system for it. The other thing that I've done slightly differently, Gareth has done it that it comes up through there, and then that pushes up like that, etc. I was worried I wasn't going to get enough elevation, so I've actually done one in reverse. So this is the front, that's now the back, and what I'm going to do is, this lovely, look at that knob there. That's not going to stick out as long as that, by the way. I haven't worked out what the length is yet. So what I'm going to do is have this arrangement. So that is a hollow tube with a 5/8 thread in it. So as you turn the knob, that will turn, the thread will go in and out, just basic linear actuator. And then what I'm going to do is, once I work out all the distances, because I did it once and it completely didn't work, if I do that on there. So in effect, what you're going to have is the actuator will do that, in theory. But it doesn't seem to work very well at the moment. It keeps binding on things, so it works fine with paper clips and bits of cardboard, but I just can't seem to get it to work with the actual thing. The actual, actually, if I go on the camera now, I can probably. That's one of the attempts. So, look, really, I have a couple of weeks off work. That's the bit that goes in and out. You don't actually need to move much, actually. A couple of inches will raise you about 15, 20 degrees. That's the brackets that fit onto the wood or to the top bit, whatever. But these distances are all wrong. I've got to work them out again. But there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 39, should there be 40? Oh, because there's one on there. So there's 40 nuts on that, or will be. They're all nylon nuts to keep them tight. Oh, geez, that's been apart more times than I care to remember. One of the things I have done though is well, on there. So these little bearings, little flanged bearings. What I'm going to do, and I should have brought the bit up really. I've got it so that it sits in a race. So this bit is absolutely free moving, and that means then there's no friction on anything then. With regards to the stuff going on to the rest of it, I'm not particularly worried about that because the movement's so slow. So anyway, I've got to take it all apart again and try and get more measurements. So that's where we are with that. Let's just right, okay. Right, with that then, I think that's all I've got to show on that. I'm pretty sure that was what I meant to show. Round to Charles, G4G UO, G7 JTT.
I guess it's my turn. I'm actually using the streamer because the receive side is not hooked up at the moment. So I hope I'm not doubling with anybody. Where are we? Right. All right. It is coming up on the streamer. Yeah, I've got rather a lot of computers running at the moment, so it's very, very, very dodgy. I'm running OBS on the main Linux machine, and that's talking to a Jetson Xavier, which is doing the voice processing, and then the output is going to a Jetson Nano, which is doing the encoding into DVB-S2. So there's quite a lot going on, and anything could drop off at any moment. Also, there's quite a lot of delay because what happens is the Python code, after it sends the voice file, or it sends the audio, streams it to the Xavier, and then the Xavier encodes it and sends it back, and then the application, the client, writes it to a file, and then OBS picks the file up. So there's a lot of delays in there, and of course it's not helped by the fact that I'm also monitoring myself on the streamer. But I've been fiddling with this all week. Originally I was using my big machine, which is an RTX 3090, but that's a bit of overkill. The Jetson Xavier is only capable of doing one voice channel at one voice stream at a time, so it's not as powerful as the other machine. The Reaver software, as well as doing being able to transcribe voice, will also do text to speech, and it can also do natural language processing. So you could feed it, for example, the BATC Wiki, and then ask it a question, and it would look through the wiki and find a suitable answer to your question. I'm not actually looking at the subtitles because they're a bit off-putting. It's also quite sensitive because I noticed before I could actually whisper into it. I can whisper into it and it still understands me. Right. Okay. Right. I think who's next? It's G4HJW next. So I shall hand it to them. Give a little delay for the time delay in the transmitter chain.
Okay, Charles, thank you very much. G4HJW near Cambridge. And yeah, pretty coming really well today. I'm copying both direct and via the thingy on the website, the streamer, which I normally have to use because of dropouts on the receiver here. So that's good. Anyway, I'm leaving the test card on just for a moment because you'll see in the picture there I showed last week the mag loop that Jenny 3D printed for me, and I didn't take that loop out of the outdoor shack that night, and it stayed in all day Friday. And when I came in Friday night to talk to Jenny and Phil on 2 meters, I turned round and it was like a nightmarish view. The whole thing had melted, as you see there. And you know, when you get something like that your brain isn't expecting, it's a very strange thing. Anyway, another very strange thing. I'll bring my video over now. Anyway, yes, I was a bit late today. I'd spent 2.5 hours looking on eBay. I was looking at cars. I was thinking of not changing the electric car, but getting another one that was a lot newer and keeping the old one for going down to the tip, which doesn't have big range. 2.5 hours going by. I'm just amazed at that. So it was all a bit of a rush getting in here, and so I'm not really up with everything. Just checking everything should be okay. Yep, looks it. Now, I was very interested, John, in your tripod mount because I don't know if you've seen mine. Let me bring this into view. I think that should be okay. Let me bring that round. It's remarkably similar to yours. Remarkably similar. So I've got the same arrangement moved from the back and hinged at the front. And if I turn that round, my arrangement for increasing and decreasing the elevation, no, that's not fully in view, is it? Let's bring that over. Because of this Heath Robinson way of doing it, I knew I needed a screw at each side to avoid it being a little bit rickety if I relied on just one big central screw. But that's so similar to yours, John. And the business of needing to lift the front up, there you are, I had exactly the same issue. So I thought that was rather interesting. Yeah. Rob, that was super seeing the live views out to the sea. In the middle of Cambridgeshire you get nothing like that. And I was brought up near the sea, and it's amazing that I don't miss it. And at college I was at Bolton and regularly travelled over the Pennines. I don't really miss that either. But what pimples we have here are actually within my normal eye line to the back here, so that doesn't feel quite so bad. And I think for this over, because my brain really hasn't caught up, and I'm getting quite forgetful and much more shorter term memory than I ever had, I'll better put it over to Gareth, I think. G4XAT, or let's just move back to the... Well, no, I know what I'll do. I'll put the other one on. Just something of interest, that's self-embarrassing, really. I dug out this picture of myself from about what have I said, it was 1968 when I first started the apprenticeship, and I can't believe that's me. And that haircut, I better put it straight back to you, I think, Gareth. It's embarrassing, but there you are, we were all young ones.
Right, okay. Fan noise is upon us. Right, okay. Yes, it is. I still haven't done anything about the fans. Apologies. Okay, let's put some human on. There we are. Well, I've been busy doing all sorts of stuff. I think we'll start, since we're having a bit of a run on tripods. Somebody asked for a quick release mechanism to put on the Tilt-O-Matic. So let's have a look at the Tilt-O-Matic. There. Okay, I'm going to take a stroll across the shack along with the remote. Okay, that looks about right. I still see my audio. Right, okay, so there's the basic Tilt-O-Matic with your up, down and so on. This little bit though, let's see if that works. Yep, that works. Is a quick release. So you operate that and that, and off it comes. There we are, just like that. 2 clips, toggle clamps. 4 for £7 off eBay. So you can fit whatever you like on your pleat and slip it on a good day anyway. I've got my levelling bubbles there, which don't help. Okay, I've also been working on this. This is the 5-inch screen ports down. It's in one of the same boxes that I put my weather box into, and it's a nice tight fit. There are some bits to go with it, which I will show you on a different camera. Let's transition to that camera. Okay, so we've got a little side panel with a DC voltmeter for the Pi or the battery pack, and select switch, Pi camera, and Raspberry Pi LEDs and a transmit LED. So that just squeezes in on the right hand side of that. It's similar to my other ports down, but it has been shrunk a bit. Okay, inside the box, this is the back of it, is the Raspberry Pi. Okay, rather than putting everything in the box, I thought I'll put nothing in the box. So all 4 ports and the RJ45 are accessible to the outside world. And about the only thing I was thinking of is I will permanently hardwire an audio dongle onto one of the USB 2s and then put a blanking plug in it. So I've always got a source of audio. Whoops, there goes my mouse, that's not a good idea. Okay, there's quite a few people on tonight, isn't there? I'll put a link up to those toggle clamps. I was impressed with the quality, and I reckon much easier than making some sort of 3D printed thing. Birdie, I've seen PLA distort in a hot car, and in a greenhouse. In fact, I made a screen for a little digital thermometer, and a month in the greenhouse, and it was almost unrecognisable. But if you print it in PLTG, so PETG, polyethylene terephthalate glycol, I think you'll find that will be better. Okay,
Right, around to the Welsh contingent, GW7BZY, to pick it up from G4XAT and the BATC Net. I won't bother with the test code, I'll just say over.
So a bit of an intro, and why not? Yeah, very good everybody. Good evening to everybody. I've got some audio coming out. Let's cut that off. What have we done this side? I better put the mute on. I must remember to unmute it, otherwise I'll complain that people have got no audio. Okay, not done a lot this side television wise. Still working on the back garden a little bit. I have changed my receive software to scan and tune, which is fantastic, and downloaded the 32-bit version of VLC, so we can actually see something on it, which is really good. And I think the audio is more stable than it was on the other version, the 9.09 something, whatever, or version 1. Doesn't seem to drop out in the same manner, so that's all good. So I'm hearing and seeing everybody very well this evening. Somebody did ask me, what's going to comment on? Very good subtitles, fascinating stuff there, Charles. Worked very well, I've got to say. Ideal. If it could translate from German to English, just a thought. DTS, yeah, very good mobile. I haven't seen. I wonder where mobile you are, because strangely, a couple of days ago, I was coming down the coast road towards Port Maddox, and I saw a van with a satellite dish on the top, and you don't often see them anymore. They all use some mobile phones and various other links. So I wondered if that was you. So maybe you'll say whether you are in the North Wales area or not, or have been. Anyway, that's about it. Someone did ask me about my saxophone and the guitar. Well, the saxophone I play, the guitar is just really. I was going to learn it. I don't know anybody else plays a saxophone or a brass instrument. But I imported this saxophone myself. It's got my name on it. Something I was just having a bit of fun with some years ago when you could import stuff. Hang that on my lamp. From China for not a lot of money. I think I paid $80 for it, which wasn't a lot of pounds. And about £300 is the cheapest I could in this country, and a Chinese one. So I imported several. I don't. There was going to be. I think I was learning to play one song, and that was Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution. Of course, they can pick one off the rank and plug it into the amplifier and show. So I was learning to play Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution. Go into this guitar shop and
Sorry about the banging around. That caught me out slightly, Roger. Sorry to hear you got sound problem back. Not sure what that is. That'll be OBS into an encoder. Tricky. Right. From JGKQ. Well, good round there. Rob, excellent efforts on the portable. An 8-meter HDMI lead. I've never had any success with anything over 3 meters, so that's impressive. But the whole setup is very impressive. I wonder if it's all going to be finished in time for the contest. I take it that's the aim anyway. So thank you very much for making the effort, and we'll see you again in a moment. Seem to have lots of watchers on tonight. Sorry to hear you're poorly, Keith. Saw Tom ZR6TG on the chat. Pleased to see you've got Phil's code working. I think that's very impressive. I haven't tried running that up, but that's a really nice receive setup that Phil has sorted out there. I'm pleased that you managed to get it running. John, very good tripod. I hope you sort out the little issues there, but good to see you on. Charles, yeah, speech to text was very impressive indeed, and thanks for explaining the low audio on the feed, but all look very impressive. I'm actually using a Jetson on transmit here, but all it's doing is relaying an IP transport stream into a Lime. It's not doing much else, but it means I don't have to unplug the Lime from it for other uses. Bernie, your pictures tonight were excellent, far better than when it's dark. I think a lot of your problem there is lighting, so really nice pictures. Gareth, as usual, you seem to have made amazing progress there with the quick release. One of the interesting things I saw was you had the remote control in your hand when you were using the demonstrating the tripod, and we could see the LED on the remote control illuminating on the camera. Right, ports down 5-inch. Yep. Hang on, let's reach around and get mine. Very similar idea, Gareth. I've used a slightly bigger box with no room for anything else on the front, but on the side there I've got the Raspberry Pi, power pole, power input, and that's going to be a 25-way, and there's going to be some other controls here, so all the controls will be on that end, and there'll be a pair of speakers on that end, so it'll be a full Langstone ports down in a very small box, probably getting very hot. However, that project has gone on the back burner for a while because I've been working on the ports down double. I perhaps showed you the case last time. At the moment the front panel is off, but that is the front panel of the ports down double. With the two 7-inch screens, one will actually drive ports down 2020. Try not to get the reflection on that, and the other will drive a ports down 4. The knobs on. Oh, hang on, that's upside down. Let's do it that way, and then I can talk about it sensibly. This will be power for the ports down, which is actually a LimeNet Micro, audio volume and audio selector on that side, and on the other side here, power for the ports down 4, a couple of LEDs which I'm waiting on the bushes for. This is a rotary encoder for the Langston, a couple of buttons for the Langston, and a mic socket for the Langston. So that's the front panel. That goes at 45 degrees, and here's the case as it is at the moment. So the front panel goes actually on the front as you see it there, and on the left hand side there is the LimeNet Micro, and on the right hand side is the ports down 4. Lots of work to do on that, but anyway, that's been keeping me busy. But today, because I got fed up with metal bashing, I did some software, and I've the actually released the Portsdown release that has Wi-Fi control from the touchscreen. This is Portsdown 4, and also Lime RFE control. So bit of software going out the door as well. Right, my PA has now got to 38 degrees C. I think it's getting a bit warmer now. So I will pass it back to Rob. And we'll see as it gets dark over the North York Moors. M0DTS and the group. Oh, good evening to Noel, by the way. If you want to transmit, just come up in the chat, please, Noel. M0DTS Portable and the group, GHGKQ.
Good work. Let's see. Right. It should work. But it isn't. See? At least it isn't for me. Right. Just reset that. Audio connection. Just reset that. Too many audio switched on there. Let's see. Apologies. Too many audio switched on there. Has that fixed it? I wonder. Has that fixed it? No, it hasn't. Okay, I'll come back on another order. Roger. Is it Roger or does it go round to John? Well, John take it and then we'll go to Roger if need be.
Yeah, that's weird, that audio. It's almost like feedback, I don't know. Anyway, but it's working perfectly fine earlier. You shouldn't have run the batteries out. Maybe the batteries are running down. Who knows? Right. Right. One of the things I forgot to show was, and I'll quickly show it and then I'll stop going on about this. One of the things that I am going to do is, because that's a 2-inch box section, well, it's inch and a half, whatever it is, 40 mil. In there is going to go a volt and ammeter, and then this side is going to be the direction and tilt display. And then what I've also done, purposely, because this isn't say purposely, it just worked out that way. If you can see here, there's about an inch and a half gap underneath. I'm going to put some DC sockets under there as well, and then I'll have one lead come up to this, which would then mean that there's only one lead to trip over. That can then feed all the transverters and stuff up on top, and I'll have a display on the front here with the volts and current, etc. So anyway, that was the other thing I forgot to mention earlier. And I think in just sitting here, I've just sussed out one problem. I was pulling at the wrong point. I was pulling down here. What I need to be doing is pulling here. Oh, I still pull here, sorry, but I need these fixed points in as well, which is the other way around. So the idea being is that point and that point will stay the same, and then because it can only go up, it will do that. So that will give me my elevation. I've just got to take it all apart again. Oh gee, I've got cuts and bruises, but I have been resting. all over the place. So I've got black fingertips and touching the aluminium all day long, even though I've washed my hands several times. But anyway, so other than that, really not a lot else. Most of the time has been spent just waiting for the post to turn up with the next lot of bearings and such likes. Can I show it on there easily? Probably not without stuff. But yeah, it's down to Gareth really to coming up with the idea and just giving me something to do while I've been off. So I did get to cut the grass though, but I was resting while I was doing it. So anyway, right, I'm just waffling. So let's flip round to Charles again. If he's going to take a turn, if not, then whoever was going to be next after that. G7 JTT in the group.
Hopefully I haven't jumped in there. Hopefully I haven't. Right, there was a gap, so I thought I would take the opportunity. The rain started coming down here, so I can't give you quite as good a picture as last time. It's blowing in the door here, so not as nice a night as before. But no, that audio there, Dave, is coming off the camcorder on HDMI into the HDMI capture. So it's the USB HDMI capture dongle that I'm using, which is, let me just get onto there. That is one of those, and it's working really well actually. I couldn't seem to get any good frame rate off it last time I used it, but it's working fine. So there's the internal setup here anyway. I don't know whether I quite showed this last time, but that's the setup. The laptop there with it's basically doing OBS and F1EJP software, HDMI input, and I've also got the other Eagle Eye webcam over there. Transmitting, of course I'm using the ports down for receive, which is doing quite well. I'm just using the reset on that on everybody's over, but it's doing okay. So that's looking reasonably good. The amplifier down here in that box there. The power meter readings just all over the place. I've got a fault on that for some reason, so I need to look at that. And obviously that's the controller for the pan and tilt on the roof. So there we have it really. Yeah, so the HDMI, I've got a cable which is connected here. This routes around the back and then goes up through down the side panels, right the way around here, around the corner, round behind the soundbar, and then up to this corner up here, which is near the door. So I can basically put the cable out the door quite easily for panning around and showing antennas and things. There's also an extension USB, but that's like it's like a buffered one now. It's got a hub, kind of like something powered at that end anyway. But yeah, that's a 5 meter extension, and then there's a 3 meter cable on the end that goes onto the actual camera. So it seems to be working really well. I'm quite happy with it, to be honest. But glad the audio is better. Just generally better. Oops. I haven't got a mount for that camera. It's just sitting on top of a mug with a bit of paper just to elevate it a little bit there. So there we go. I can't tell whether my lip sync it there. I can't tell whether my lip sync it there. No, lip sync's not quite on, but it's not too bad. But yeah, it's not bad. So yeah, the location is I'm probably about 4 or 5 miles southeast of Middlesbrough is the actual location, and the closest place is Kildale, and that's basically to the east of Stokesley. We're probably about, what, I'm trying to think how many miles off the coast. 9 miles, something like that, maybe. So, okay, yeah, apologies, Charles. The stream delay gets you, doesn't it? Yeah. As soon as I was ready, I just took the opportunity there, so apologies for that. Right. I think that's it, really. What else have I been doing? Apart from playing around building Portsdowns, well, I'm actually building 2 of them. I'm building a little baby one that's going to sit next to it with a 5-inch screen that I can run Banview while the other one's running Minitune. So I'm kind of building 2 boxes at the same time, so I'll probably show them next week. Give a bit of update on them. I might have made a bit more progress then, possibly. But it is actually usable at the moment, but it's not finished. There's a fan come on the PA, but it'll be quite happy. Just over 7 amps at 27 volts is what we're running, which should be around about 40 watts into the 1 meter dish. So that's the transmit setup. That's a bit of echo there. What else? Oh, last week. So I've put up a 3-element 10-meter beam in hope to do some tests on there at some point. I'm not really pushing that too much at the moment because I haven't got around to boxing up the amplifier to run with it and everything like that. But anyway, we're getting quite good results. There was yesterday morning there was some Australian stations coming in, obviously not television strength or anything like that, but they were coming in at SSB strength quite happily, like 5.7, 5 and 9 SSB would be their signal if they weren't all on FT8. Anyway, I'm not going to that. So yeah, anyway, South America seems to be a very good direction for looking for 10 meters television, in my opinion. There's some big signals from down there. Also South Africa as well. There's a couple of guys coming in yesterday, I think it was. There were 5.9 plus 20 odd dB on 10 meters SSB. So there's some possibilities. So be looking to do that. Battery power, Wolfgang. It's all on batteries. It's a 200 amp hour gel battery, so it'll last a long time. That's what, at the moment we're pulling 23 amps at 12 volts. But that's also powering the laptop and the radio and the ports down, the dish controller, the camera. There's a lot of things connected to it. So yeah, that'll run quite happily for quite a few hours like that, no problem. Right, okay, I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, 10 meters and ports down has been pretty much what I've been on with, and little RF splitters for splitting things to receivers and stuff, and playing around with this in the van as well. So there we go. Right, I'll say goodnight to everybody. I probably won't come back on. You never know, at the end maybe, if the rain stopped or whatever. But there we go. Right, round to you, Charles. G4GUO, M0DTS on the BATC Net. M0DTS portable, should I say. M0DTS. Round to you, Charles. M0DTS portable.
Right, hopefully I've got the changeover right this time. And yeah, it's all right, Rob. Don't worry. I left a gap for you, but of course that meant it messed up all the timing. I'm having to use the streamer because, as Dave knows, I tend to use Minitune for receiving, and I can't run the Windows machine and the Linux machine at the same time because I'm using a KVM switch to switch between them. And unfortunately, it messes up the video on Linux when I switch. So I can only have one machine on at a time. I'm going to get Longmin running on Linux, but that will be sometime in the future. But anyway, yeah, it's a good net tonight. There's lots of interesting things. I'm sorry I haven't been keeping notes, but trying to keep all these computers running simultaneously is sort of taken my concentration. So that's the reason for that. But hopefully I can get it all down to one machine. As I said, I was using a large machine with an RTX 3090 on it, but I'm now using a Jetson Xavier. That's not their most expensive machine. The Orin is the most expensive machine. The Xavier's half the Orin's price. I've had it for quite some time and never used it. And as far as German's concerned, there is a library for transcribing German, but you need something in between. You could use Google Translate, I suppose, but that's rather cheating. But it is all possible. They've got libraries for English, German, French, Spanish and Russian. So those are the languages that they've got. But anyway, it's all good fun playing with this stuff. And right, I guess it's time to pass the hat round, or swap musical chairs. Oh, the other thing I was going to mention is that this is American English, so if I say colour, it'll get the American spelling and not the English spelling. But they don't have a British English library. So, right, I'll just check on the streamer. It's the G4HJW next. So, if I just give it a few seconds for the delay in the system.
Wow, that came up quickly on my decoder. Everything here seems to be working very well tonight. I haven't had the mini tune drop out on audio, which I so often do, at all. So I've been using the short delay of that and not the streamer, but I do appreciate the problem you can have, Charles. I've had that quite a few times, but I have the feed from Goonhilly, so I can see the text really, just in case my audio or anything else goes wrong, which occasionally it has. And you know, I'm able to then I just look for your or whoever's transmission to stop and immediately TX. Go onto a camera now. That's the only thing I tend to forget to do, and sometimes when I do that, as I have done, I get two lots of, let me see, I want to just bring that up. I can get two lots of audio and then there's a very strange effect, but again, that's not happening tonight, so I don't really understand that. I do like the text. I didn't have a chance to, I forgot totally about that last time, Charles. That's coming over really nicely. And if you transcribe as well, something I would never dream possible at one time, so it is quite amazing. Well, like your portable operation, Rob, is I used to be very impressed when the commercial or BBC went out and were doing a broadcast from a van, and there you are doing it effortlessly, under very reasonable conditions that anybody could do, you know, relatively low power and all the rest. So it is amazing. Right, I'll go through the list. This is built up quite nicely, considering I didn't have much to say. That mount that I have, I'm just looking at everybody else's mount on the tripod. I mean, I found with my Heath Robinson one, it works very well. And you know, for as basic as it is, I've never had trouble. I used to originally use that mount for optical work and never had trouble lining up. And on that dish that I had on though, which was a 45 centimeter sky dish, which I covered in foil, I was using that on 122 megs, and that was even easier than optical. So you don't seem to need a great deal to get away with that. Although, of course, if it's windy when you're out, that's a different matter. And it's amazing how the mount then does move around a lot. So I guess I'm relying on my few occasions being out, not being in bad weather. And Gareth, you're quite right. Jenny was saying that the materials that loop was printed in was PLA, and we had a big get together today. Thursdays is our amateur radio lunch at the local country park. There were 7 of us today, which is quite good. And she brought me a complete set of new mouldings, so that was really good of her. And I think it's in a slightly different colour plastic, not that different, but slightly different colour from the original. So I think she's moulded it in a different material, but I can't say whether it. She did mention it at the weekend, but I can't think whether it was the one that you mentioned or not. But because she's been good enough to give me a second 3D print, I'll try and straighten out the old one, and I'll have that one with more turns on for say medium waves or lower, maybe 474. And this latest one, which I've already wound, I've got going from top band up to 60 meters, which is quite useful. But another chap who Jenny gave one of the prints to made a really tidy job by having a single turn coupling loop, and on mine with only 6 turns the ratio isn't enough, and I found if I put a series cap in there I can get a good 50 ohm match, but it on one frequency it moves very quickly away from that. So what I've actually done is taken that out and squashed the coupling loop to a much lower size, so it really doesn't look doesn't look very nice, but it's okay as I tune the capacitor quite a bit better. And Telstar, I don't know what it is, but there's so much of that 60s music that I remember, which is partially to do with an ability or lack of ability as you get older to remember stuff day to day. But it's only in recent years I realised all the stuff that Joe Meeks did in a very simple studio, and you just wonder why all the major studios couldn't have done that themselves. That the lack of vision was really quite amazing. Well, just one of those things. And Dave, yes, the picture is entirely due to my changing over to the Polycom, and you can see I've now got lighting on. This shack is pretty much not all glass, so I've got plastic twin wall in the roof. But if I go back a couple of decades ago, I used to suffer from sand, and being outside in natural light completely solves that, which is why I built this place. But of course the temperature in the summer is far too hot, and in the winter far too cold. But yes, it's the Polycom, and it was the 18, the low cost one as well. So I'm very, very pleased with that in both conditions. I would just like, yes, looking at that picture, a little more contrast, and I don't seem able to do that easily with my vMix controls, but this is so much better. I agree with that. I'm very happy with it. I moved the frame rate down to 30 a second because I seem to remember Mike saying that's what he'd done, and his picture quality was so good. But the resolution on this is okay, isn't it? I'm really happy with it. So yeah. Oh, it's quite funny during the week. I was taking out the last of Ian KKD's stuff last week. I thought there was only the benches to bring out, but there were still odds and ends. And I brought some monitors out, and I thought, well, some of these look okay. They're very old. But I'd totally forgotten that there was a time when we just had black and white. And so, of course, one of them ended up being a black and white monitor, a lovely Hitachi monitor, but not something I'm likely to use, but the others I might. And in amongst all the chuck out was a Nikov disc, which I knew Ian had, together with a colour wheel. So I don't know what will that be, late 50s or 60s when he was doing that. I've only come into TV in the last 5 or 6 years since I've known Ian. But all that interesting analogue stuff that was going on, and of course all of that totally obsolete now, which is a shame. Right, that'll do me. I'll put it on to you, Gareth. Get the test card over quickly this time, which I didn't do last time. It's good to come on again, and it's nice this time of year when it isn't too cold in here, because of all the glass. It is all double glazing, and I've got some insulation, but in the winter it just doesn't seem right putting all the heat into the place, and so I sort of drifted away, so my apologies about that. Right, with a suitable delay, on to you, Gareth. G4HJW.
And G4XAT. Back again. Thank you, Bernie. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I'd be lost without my 3D printer for a lot of things. It's just so versatile. Anyway, onward with a list of all the other things I've been up to this week. It's been quite a good week, actually, to put it mildly. This little beastie is a 10 gigahertz transceiver, ex-Cambridge Broadband Networks, who went into receivership, I believe. There's a bit of info on the web about using them, but the best thing about it is it's got a 2 gigahertz-ish IF for both TX and RX, and a 2 gigahertz-ish local oscillator for both chains. And by careful juggling of the maths, you can do it all with a Pluto. Anyway, what it's got on it is a 48 volt down converter that doesn't work. I've not seen any data that makes it spring into life, and that's presumably to make it work up a mast. Anyway, the red wire you can see basically bypasses that, and then if we transition to me again, here we have a 3 voltage power supply to deliver PA voltage, which is 6.5 volts, 8 volts for the receive and transmit strips, and 5 volts for the logic switching. So that's the idea behind that. Let's see, other things that have arrived. Yeah, there's a lot of LEDs in those handsets, isn't there? They really do light up. Those are the 23 SEMS W6PQL Mega PA boards. I'm going to try one of those BLF or MRF, can't remember what they are, 888As in there. Let's see if it'll fly on 23 SEMS. So that's one thing. We had fun on the HV net on Tuesday. I was transmitting it on 70 SEMS into JV, and Justin was streaming from JV to HV, and there it was all going around in circles. That was good. Other things of note, a rather incredibly precise 20 meg crystal TXCO. It only draws 5 milliamps, and it just doesn't move. It doesn't even warm up drift. Really is very good. That's going to drive one of these, which is the PLL synthesizer to produce the 2 odd gigahertz. And as usual, I had a right old game trying to program the Arduino Nanos. I don't know if they're old batches or something, but the way to do them is to use the 328p old chip selection, and it's vanished from all my Arduino programming softwares. It drives me nuts. It's so variable. Anyway, I'm sure I'm probably doing something wrong. Right, what else we got on the list? I like the portable dish there, Rob, and your nice comfy van. And 200 amp hour of lead acid's quite a lot, isn't it? I've got a 90, and I've never I've taken 42 ampere hour out of it. I've never gone much further than that, but it's never gone flat either. Can't do Dunstall Downs, I'm afraid. I've got a domestic clash there. The wife got on the calendar first. The case, I was going to put active cooling, but Dave FRE suggested I try one of these aluminium armour cases from the Raspberry Pi, no, not from the Raspberry Pi, from the Pi Hut. So I thought I'd try one of them, and then I realised I could put a fan on it anyway. There's just enough room for one of the tiny little pancake fans I've been using. So I might do that. Right, this little puppy arrived from China. It's what it looks like actually. It's a USB power bank running off a single cell I pulled out of an old laptop pack with a torch LED on it and a nice little blue LCD screen which gives you the charge out. And then you just charge in and charge out. So I reckon you could easily put a couple of cells in parallel, as long as you match them first, of course, or even more. But it's definitely only one cell voltage. But they're good cells. I don't know what they came out of. But they deliver a real 1.8 ampere hour, which is quite good for lithium-ion. Okay, what else? Useful tools, yeah. Right, I don't know how I've lived without one of these. It's like a metal version of a marking gauge, which I was never very fond of, to be honest, because they always follow the grain. But I use this to mark out that slot on the side there. It really is useful. Of course, it could do with that roller being a bit longer, so you can deal with curved edges. And you could do with changing that for a pen, but whatever. I think that was 18 quid off eBay from China. I think that's it. That's the stuff on my list. So, round it comes to GW7BZY. I noticed you said you were only seeing the test card. If you're watching on VLC, you might need to kick it to wake it up. It sometimes carries on doing the audio, I've noticed. But, sorry, I just seen Dave's comment. That's completely thrown me. Forget about it. Evening, Mike. Trust you had a good journey back from the wilds of HB land and didn't smuggle in any strawberries. Anyway, GW7BZY. Very smart looking microphone that, and let's hear some saxophone or whatever from G4X80. Let's run a test card and then I'll know I'm done. Over.
Okay, am I in? I expect so. Okay, yeah, I'll keep that in mind about VLC because oh, it's a very good test card. There we go, muted. It was a very good test card, mine, but that's all I didn't see any movement. But I did when you came on, it all worked perfectly, and it has worked now. I've come on it, so who knows? Very good, everybody. I was just thinking that 200 amp battery in MOD DTS's vehicle probably keep it from blowing away anyway, won't it? Maybe not from wobbling, but certainly blowing away. No one mentioned the playing of the saxophone, so I won't play the saxophone. Probably a wise move not to mention it. Very interesting, everybody there. My end showing that I've gone off, but no, I'm not. The receiver end is wobbling about a bit, but the signal's still there on the Goon Hilly. So I'll take it that I'm on. Yeah, I'll make this my final tonight, and thank you for letting me in and talking nonsense. I'll have to do something construction. I feel guilty and a bit inadequate, to say the truth, with all your building your amplifiers and doing different things and ports downs and what have you. So I'll have to Get on with something. I'll have to build that advanced receiver. Excellent video. Yeah. I'll tell you what. I was also going to do. Now you mention it, I was going to. That's the camera I'm using. Which works pretty good, pretty well. And I'm learning to use the vectroscope. I'm sure those out there have a far better knowledge of vectroscopes than I have. But there's that little line that runs diagonally is for skin tone. So I've aligned my skin tone. I'm saying that, I'm not confident, but I seem to have aligned it onto that. And regardless of what my monitor shows, it should be pretty correct. And likewise, I've done for the So, but I'm not using clipping or anything. The BBC wouldn't accept my signal. It's not legal in their minds, but it does the job. It has a standard Rex 709 setting, but I haven't played with it really. I've played with it, but I haven't sort of looked. But yeah. Works well. Audio, I think it should be good. And I've downloaded. I think someone said they had a 7090 graphics card in the computers. I think. Charles. People would say what size screens they're watching on. I'm watching myself on a 40-inch and use it as a computer monitor, 40-inch domestic telly, which is okay, but it's not anyway calibrated. I wonder what other people are using. Whether transmitting HD is of any value from GW7. Well, I'll hand that round and have a listen. I'll make this my final, and we'll see you again next week, possibly. Wednesday, Thursday. I'll be working Thursday. Might do.
Right, well, let's hope we've got some audio this time. I'm still waiting to hear. I think we have. My apologies to everyone for making such a mess of it yet again. I really wish I could understand this, and there was an easy way of monitoring the or checking that one has actually got audio as well as video. The only time you know is when it's too late. Anyway, thank you, Dave. Yes, thank you for the reassurance, and I'm sorry to mess you around 2 weeks running. What I did, I'm afraid I missed some of, obviously, some transmission from the others, but I went on to another channel. I closed down F1 EJP and brought it back up again, and I changed the audio AAC from 64 to 32. That didn't work, so I changed it back to 64, and then it worked. So, but apart from going from transmit to receive on the port sound, I'm still as clueless as to why it does it sometimes and not others, because I had checked it earlier. Anyway, there we are. Anyway, the main thing here is I'm following the crowd. I'm now on the Polycom, which I'm really rather chuffed with. Very grateful to Martin G8KOE, if he's watching tonight, who gave me some guidance on how to get it going, the basics. And I've ended up actually with 2 cameras. I've managed to find some really remarkable bargains on eBay. It's the 8000 I've managed to get hold of, so it takes 2 cameras, which is rather fun. And but the thing that impresses me, if we do that, hopefully, yeah, that's the second camera. I'm mightily impressed with its zooming capacity, and also the autofocus seems to be remarkably good. So I'm rather pleased with that. So if we just go back from that, there we are. That's looking down from camera 2, and we'll go back to camera 1. Hopefully. Yeah, there we are, back on camera 1. And the other, just while we're rather like Bernie, messing about with cameras, if I take the Polycom off, that is something I've resurrected. It's a security camera which I've had knocking around, and I'm rather amazed what a good picture it seems to give. Certain amount of delay on the sound, because it's a Wi-Fi connected to the system, and you have to go in through media, so there's a lot of delay, I think, on the system. But when you compare it to the C9, and that's the C920, so I don't know, that looks a bit woolly to me, the C920 in comparison. So that's going back onto the security camera, and then we're back onto the Polycom, and the security camera is one of these. If I can find it, I've forgotten which preset I put it on. No, that's not it. Let's try that one. No, it's not that one either. We'll find it in a minute. There we are. Yes, it's one of those Topcon cheapie from Amazon, but it's got full up and down and azimuth and rotation, and it seems to me it gives a remarkably good picture. Anyway, there we are. That's enough. That's nonsense from me tonight. More junk. Anyway, thank you all very much. It's all been extremely interesting. I love Rob's mobilization despite the weather, and Charles's text. Very grateful for the subtitles, Charles, particularly in your first transmission, because the audio was, I'm getting deaf, and it was so low with everything turned up I couldn't really hear you. So that, and finally, Bernie, I would reiterate what Gareth said. If you want to do something that isn't going to suffer from heat exhaustion, heat bending, then ABS or PETG. PETG is much easier to handle than ABS, but they'll stand the heat as well on 3D printing. I speak from experience. Okay, night to everybody. Thank you very much. Apologies again, Dave, for the messing about here. And it goes to Mike, safely home, G0MJW. So over to you, Mike. Let's just find the test card.
Okay, well, audio's at 11, I see. Sorry about that. Need to adjust that. Let's this could all go horribly wrong. I just switched it on and hope it worked. And it seems that it did. So yeah, excellent pictures, people that I've been looking at so far. I'm glad you got a Polycom, Roger. I think you need to start using H.265 though if you can, because there's a lot of pixelation when you move it about. And I've finally got mine to boot up. I wasn't going to turn it on, but I've turned it on now. So there we go. I mean, the first thing to show, I guess, is the bench camera to show you what I've been up to, which is not particularly exciting because I've been away in Geneva, so that's why. But one thing I did notice is that Roger's camera was using the first monitor output, so that might be why. Oh, hang on a minute. Why is it not responding? It's not working. I probably need to have a look at that. No, it's working now. I think it was just the camera wasn't happy, but there we go. What I was trying to show you anyway, on that other screen behind me with the menus, which you don't get if you use monitor 2. So that was the main point of that. But the Polycom camera does have a different color balance, and when you go to it and then you look at me, come on, turn around. Nothing's moving. Why is nothing moving? I think my battery's gone flat in my remote control. I think that's the problem. Stop using that, and I'll go back to this other camera and show you what I was going to show you, which is what I bought at the rally. And I think that's 2 weeks ago now, so it's old news, but hopefully that will come in useful. It wasn't very expensive, and it came with the most enormous microphone, which I put back in its box. But it's one of these podcaster things, so we'll see. Rode have got a good name. That doesn't mean the microphones are any good, but it's one that people tend to swear at. I haven't really got anything else to show, apart from a non-behaving Polycom system. So, and I guess it's getting quite late. So I'll pass it back to everyone, but nice to catch up with the net. I would have been back earlier if I could have driven from Heathrow, but being away for 2 weeks, it's not economic to park there. The parking fees have gone through the roof. You even have to pay £5 just to drop somebody off these days. It's really gouging. So I wouldn't recommend Heathrow to anyone, but it's the only one we've got local to us, so there you go. Okay, let's pass it to Dave, GKQ. Over to you, Dave, and I've got a few questions for you which I put in an email, but we can sort those out later. There's potential maybe of getting 4U on ITU on DATV at some point in the future, which might be quite nice. So, GKQ, G0MJW.
G0MJW. G8GKQ. Okay, Mike, yes, I have read your email. I just need to take some time to think about it, but that would be worth doing, I think. Good to see you back safely anyway, even though you need some new batteries. Question of whether to transmit 720p or 1080p. I did some tests and decided that the best sort of overall quality, taking into account all the artifacts and everything, was in this bandwidth with my encoder was 720p. But I do watch other people with better encoders in 1080p on a 1080p monitor. One of the things I was going to mention is Goonhilly Web SDR. There was some preventative maintenance done on that at the weekend by Phil. We're going to have to replace at least the LNB cap on it. It's got one of the green LNB caps on it, and that has failed with the weather. So some work to do there on Goonhilly Web SDR. Rob, yeah, using 2 port sounds, that's exactly why I've gone for the two port sounds in one box, so I can have band viewer on one and mini tuner on the other. And for transmit, I can have a transmit monitor on one and the transmitter on the other. And it'll be good if you can keep an eye on 28 megs and be ready to transmit. I don't know anybody else who can receive. I suppose there's Graham G3VZV is set up. It might be worth doing some tests with him on 28 megs. It'd be really good to get that going. Charles, Longmind on Linux. I know Tom ZR6TG has just built up Phil's code on Linux, which runs Longmind on Linux quite well. So that's perhaps having a look at. Bernie, please hear that it's the Polycom that's making the difference. They certainly seem to be good cameras. I'm using a C920 here on tonight, but I do have a Polycom set on another setup. Gareth, you mentioned you'd never run your battery down. The second day of a contest, mine tends to die about halfway through the second day. I've now got and that's a 100 ampere hour 12 volt battery. I've now got an additional 40 ampere hour one that I intend to use next month. Yeah, watch the heat. If you're using a plastic box, you still might need a fan to cool that big heatsink in the plastic box, because as you well know, it's no use having a big heatsink if you then insulate it from the outside world. But all my Raspberry Pi 4s now go in those heatsink cases, both for mechanical protection, thermal protection and EMC. And that 10 gigs unit looks really good. Okay, well, I think that's about it for tonight. So thank you all for coming on. I just seen a comment from Roger. You can do 265 with the Pluto, but you need to stream to it differently. And I must admit to not being sure how to do it, but I believe it is possible. Right, thank you all for coming on. Look forward to seeing you next week. And don't forget the activity weekend in 10 days' time. Good night all. G8GKQ.